Hasan, you're up, buddy. Where you at? There he is. So Hasan Abi is a Turkish American young man who is a content creator like me, like so many others. He, however, is so popular on one network that he's just on that network, and that's Twitch. He does not. He's of the opinion now that Twitch will not create another relationship like they have with him, because so many creators would be against doing it. And yeah, unless you're going to pay me buku, no, I'm going to reach out to as much as possible. Let me just see what else is happening in my account here while I'm here. Joe Walsh is a guy I need to talk to. He's a former congressman down here, I think, too, actually. Anthony Gilio from Momentum Fitness and Wellness checking in. That's the Build a Momentum, that one. So this guy, you might recognize his uncle. It's Cenk Uygur or Yoker, Cenk Uygur. So I don't know, the kind of husky guy on another left wing talking head show called the Young Turks. They're available on YouTube and presumably other platforms. I like this guy. He is also the nature of his show. And this is what got me blocked. I typed into the chat that it was boring. But for his audience, they just want to sit there and watch and listen to him surf the web for anti-Trump shit. That's all he does. And like he says in this clip that you're about to see, he also, his channel on Twitch really specializes in gaming, like sitting there and playing video games. This guy will stream for like 11 hours straight. That's one episode. And then he made special stuff like this. I don't think, just judging by the look of the background and so on, this might even have been done in a hotel, because he probably takes that microphone with him. He does a lot of collaboration worldwide. Yeah. He'll fly to, the day I got blocked, he was talking about a trip to Japan, that he was going just to sit there and play video games with the guy. Yeah. That's how high up the coolness scale this dude is. So he's vacationing somewhere with his family. And again, because of his success, he's footing the bill. He leaves the vacation early to come back to the States because of a speaking engagement in Chicago. And this is what happens.
Who don't know, I was detained by Customs and Border Patrol inside of the O'Hare Airport. I get to the global entry.
So if you see that he's moving around as he talks, and if you see the video is like jerky, it's because he's edited this. So he probably, as I do, he probably edits out some uhs and ums as he's trying to think about something. You have to be, like, I could have put an in there. You have to be comfortable with silence. And that allows you to not have to go back and edit if you think quickly enough to say what you want to say. And now I'm kind of doing a really lame Christopher Walken impression. But really, if you just think clearly. Anyway.
Line, and they're processing everybody expeditiously. Gets to me, take a photo, boom, walk in.
He just referenced expeditiously being processed. And because of nobody wanting to come to the United States right now, it is very easy to get through the immigration inspection, unless you're this guy.
Instantly, the Customs and Border Patrol agent goes, "Step aside, sir. An agent will come and take you to another location." I was like, is that proper protocol? It's like, sometimes it happens. There's a detention area. I'm sitting there. There's like a bunch of terrified families. There's an old lady in a wheelchair. Finally, this agent comes out. They take me to this back room and we got to talking. And let me tell you, folks, the TikTokers that talked about being detained, they were right. It was an insane situation. So it's very.
So even though we're not on terrestrial radio today, about, I guess, Brown Rock Legal. Oh, that's an interesting profile. I think we'll have to follow that one and perhaps even reach out. I'll have to. I thought this was HasanAbi's. This isn't from him. This is from somebody else, but that's him.
Very obvious that they knew exactly who the fuck I was. It's very obvious that they knew how to like navigate the conversation. You know, he's like, "Oh, what are you doing in Chicago?" And I was very revealing. I was like,
okay, so this is what's called a consensual conversation. That's not a consensual conversation. He's being detained. And this is what gets gray and kind of a little wishy-washy. When you're questioning somebody, that is a search. He's being searched right now by having this conversation. The two times where Miranda, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, which is the Fifth Amendment, anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. That's the Sixth Amendment, et cetera, et cetera. That is if the three elements are not present: cops, custody, and questioning. If all three of those are there, like he doesn't feel like he's free to leave, you have to Mirandize him. The other time that you can do what is called a warrantless search is an inspection, where you're talking to everybody. A DUI checkpoint is a legal warrantless search. An entry into the country is a checkpoint and is a legal warrantless search. And as such, when they go through your bag, they'll put a sticker, they'll put like a bookmarker, a leaflet in your luggage saying that TSA, Transportation Security Administration, has inspected your garments, your luggage. So the conversation that he's having, because he is in custody, and even though this is part of a legal warrantless search, no, this is not okay.
It's like, I want to take my family out for Mother's Day to France, but I had to come back early from France.
Okay, so this was for Mother's Day, and they're in France, so he's out of the country. That doesn't matter. He's an American citizen. But he's brown with dark features. He's well known. He's a celebrity. Even if only in certain circles, he's a celebrity. And he's a Turkish celebrity. Talk about the hypocrisy. Erdogan or whatever the Turkish dictator's name, the president, the elected president, who is now a dictator of Turkey, following or preceding the exact same path that T-Rump is following. We like Turkey sometimes, not all the time.
Because I have a speaking engagement at University of Chicago. And he was like, "Oh, what kind of speaking engagement?" It's like, "I don't know, some like journalism school stuff." And he's like, "Oh, well, since you mentioned that, what do you do as a job?" And I was like, "I'm a Twitch streamer." And he's like, "Well, since you mentioned that, what kind of things do you stream about?" So I was just like, "I play video games, but I also do current events sometimes." And he's like, "Since you mentioned that, do you talk about the news?" And I was like, "Yeah, I talk about the news." "So when you talk about the news, do you talk about the war?" And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" He's like, "Do you talk about Trump?" And that was the first time where I was like, what the is.
Okay, these questions are not okay. Not unless he's actually made an actual or a veiled threat against the president. A political one, such as saying 8647, with the meaning that it's a proper removal from office because of a violation of because of one of the many violations of the Constitution, or via the 25th Amendment, where his cabinet grows a set of balls, which will never happen, and declares him unfit for office.
Is this question, like, I literally straight up told him, I was like, why are you asking me this? Like, what does this have to do with anything? None of these questions are actually valid questions to ask. But I was entertaining it because, one, I didn't want to present it as being difficult because I didn't want to extend the tension. And two, I actually wanted to see how far I could take it. And I'm glad I did this because the reality of the matter is I'm profoundly privileged. I'm a public person. I have enough money to be able to fight back against this sort of thing. And they allowed to enter the nation.
Okay, so we finished that. The yergs.com server that hosts my website overseas, so that when Restream shits the bed accidentally, like it did the other day, like it's actually been doing all week, something it's never done before in like the 2 years that I've been using Restream. Now all of a sudden, it's my 2 or 3 year old custom computer built specifically for this job by a very well skilled, heavily skilled professional. But it's on me that I've experienced all the technical issues this week. Yeah.
They know who the I am. So obviously, the reason for why they're doing that is, I think, to try to create an environment of fear, to try to get people like myself, or at least like others that would be in my shoes that don't have that same level of security, to shut the up. And I'm going to use the privilege that I have in that moment to try and see what the they're doing. Every single thing that they ask me is literally not allowed. Like, what the do you mean? Why is this denying me entry into the country of my birth? You can't just stop me at the border and be like, what's your opinion on Donald Trump? You're not allowed.
So they can stop you. There's no issue with them that they stop everybody. That's the point of an inspection checkpoint. The detainment, this is not ethical. At minimum, his story, presuming it's 100% on the up and up, is not ethical. That's not okay. Because it's blatantly obvious. I'm sure some boss at ICE will deny that or have some bullshit workaround explanation, as the entire Trump administration so famously does. We'll talk about Doge being exempt from FOIA requests within the next 28 minutes. Yeah. But yeah, this line of questioning, what they're doing is, since you mentioned it, they're trying to document that he said this first. No. 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 If this was a criminal case, those questions would last 30 seconds before any judge, some of which have been Trump appointed, would throw this out. And this is what I'm getting into today. When you take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, I'm going to grab my camera for a second and show you something. This is my physical desktop. Yeah, read that too. What you're seeing, for those of you on radio, is the 4 monitors, my physical piece of furniture desktop, and everything that I use for every single episode of Up the Middle. Nowhere did you see the phrase protect and defend. and from all enemies, foreign and domestic. It has been 25 years since I made that oath, and I still know it. Because even 3.5 years into retirement, I understand that is an oath I've taken for the rest of my life. And when you fancy yourself a conservative, or even as far right to say that you are a Republican, and you believe whatever bullshit that's been fed to you, that Donald Trump is going to make America great again. First of all, I want you to share with me the period of America where we were great in the first place, because I've got that clip also. But anyway, let's wrap this up so we can get on to the Krasenstein brothers. All right, gang. Yeah, I think it's time. I got to do one more break before the end of the show today. When we come back, we're going to talk about, I don't know if it's Ed or Brian, and I got to pull up the email anyway, so I need a minute. But this will be part 3 of our 3-part series of questionable, if not outright unlawful, detainments of journalists and content creators by law enforcement. You're listening to or watching Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back after these words.
The average radio listener listens for 18 minutes. The average fan listens for, are you ready for this? An hour and 20 minutes.
How can that be?
Answer most commonly given, I want to see what he'll say next.
All right, okay, fine. But what about the people who hate Yergs?
Good point. The average hater listens for 2.5 hours a day.
Look, but if they hate him, why do they listen?
Most common answer, I want to see what he'll say next.